Nobody expected her to walk away with the biggest paycheck. UFC Atlanta was stacked with heavy hitters, former champions, rising contenders, and fighters with names that shake the arena. But when the final numbers dropped, it wasn't KAMARU USMAN, Jamal Hill, or even a headliner that topped the earnings. It was Rose Namajunas. Yes, that Rose. Quiet, composed, focused. She cashed out at $500,000, out-earning former champions and headliners by a wide margin. And when asked about it, she confirmed the numbers without blinking. It was accurate, she said. No fluff. No shock. Just calm confidence from a fighter who's spent years building to this moment. But that was just the start of what turned out to be one of the most unexpected, dramatic cards in recent UFC memory. Career-altering injuries, fighters hinting at retirement, personal demons, and even a war of words that went way beyond trash talk. What happened behind the scenes at UFC Atlanta and the days that followed is more than just fight news. It's a revealing look into what fighters are really going through. And it starts with Rose.
Yeah, it definitely was an interesting thing. I didn't know that. I always remember them releasing like bogus numbers.
Yeah, yes.
Fake numbers, like for the longest time. But I'm gonna be honest, it was accurate this time, at least for me. I don't know about everybody else, but so I don't know. I mean, there's nothing I could do about it. You know what I mean?
Does it bother you?
No, only because I'm actually very proud of what I've like worked up to at this point, because there's a lot of patience for a long period of time.
She just waited and fought. The payday is proof of what patience, consistency, and staying true to yourself can earn in a world full of noise. But while Rose walked away with a win and a check, her opponent left the cage with something very different. While Rose left Atlanta with money and momentum, Miranda Maverick walked out with a torn ACL and some heavy soul-searching. In a raw, emotional post, Maverick didn't sugarcoat it. "This is uncomfortable and feels upsetting," she wrote, announcing she'd be going under the knife the following week. The injury wasn't just physical, it was a life detour. Surgery was scheduled, recovery would be long, and suddenly, the fighter's life was on pause. But what stood out most wasn't the injury, it was her mindset. She quoted her dad, "God didn't change the direction of people in the Bible by laying out rose petals." It was different. Maverick wasn't broken. She was adjusting. She talked about putting family first, selling her fight gear, and using this time to reset. That's not something fighters often admit. No bitterness, no blame, just a fighter facing the pain head-on. And while Maverick was preparing for surgery, another fighter across the world was preparing for war, one he fully expects to dominate. Jamal Hill isn't worried, not even a little. As he gears up to face KHALIL Rountree Jr. this Saturday night, Hill's message is simple. Rountree's not on my level.
The career he's put together, do you feel like he's the guy who's on the level you've proven yourself to be by being champion, beating former champions?
No, I don't. Like, I mean, that's not disrespect. I just don't see him as on my level. You know, even with the fights that he's put in, I haven't seen anything from any like that to make me think like, oh, this dude's on your level. Is he dangerous to anybody? It's a fight. It's a fight. Anybody can land a shot that'll make them dangerous, that can change the fight and all those things. So he has my respect on that. But to think that skill for skill he can match with me, I don't see it that way. Right now I'm not thinking about titles. I'm not thinking about titles. I'm not thinking about rankings. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm thinking about going in and dominating KHALIL Rountree on Saturday.
When Islam Makhachev fights, he dominates. Calm, technical, unbreakable. But what shook the MMA world wasn't his control inside the cage. It was a whisper from his camp. Islam might be done after just 3 more fights. The internet exploded. The rumor started with his coach, JAVIER MENDEZ, suggesting that Makhachev may only stick around for a handful more matchups. Fans were stunned. Analysts were confused. Even Daniel Cormier, someone close to the camp, questioned it. Why? He asked. Why would someone so dominant walk away now? Islam hasn't said anything himself, but the silence only added to the mystery. MENDEZ later walked it back, saying people misunderstood. "That was just me thinking out loud," he clarified. "Maybe 3 fights. Maybe 8. It's not Islam saying it. It's just speculation." But the seed had already been planted. Makhachev's calm demeanor, his connection to Khabib, and that team's history of walking away on top, it's hard not to wonder. Because if Islam really does retire soon, fans may only get a tiny window to see him clash with names like Usman, Topuria, or Jack Della Maddalena. And while Makhachev stays silent, another top fighter is speaking out, this time about his mental health and how he found his way back to peace. Behind the highlight reels and picture-perfect combos, Cory Sandhagen was quietly dealing with something much harder to fight: anxiety. He recently opened up in an interview with Ariel Helwani, revealing that, like many fighters, he'd been struggling with a pressure he couldn't quite name. I was like, dude, what's going on? I'm fine, he said. But the truth was, something was off. He wasn't himself. So he made a bold move. He unplugged. He quit some bad habits, stepped back from social media, and stopped letting the internet shape who he thought he needed to be. And what happened next? He got funnier, looser, more himself. Sandhagen explained that not knowing what people online think of him actually made him feel freer. He wasn't trying to impress anyone anymore, just trying to be real. It's rare honesty in a sport that glorifies toughness. But Cory's story is a reminder. Even the calmest killers in the cage have storms they don't show. And speaking of storms, KAMARU USMAN still battling the ghost of one knockout. And it almost came back to haunt him again.
Kind of similar to what O'Malley, I guess, had going on, where I just kind of had like a little anxiety, and I was like, dude, what's going on? I'm like, fine. So I quit a bunch of bad habits. I didn't quit like him, but yeah, it's just kind of like a lot healthier. I feel like also I can be a lot more myself when I know I'm not going to know people's opinions on how I'm being. So that's pretty fun to do, you know, like I don't really want the internet correcting my personality at all. Like that's kind of my responsibility, not a bunch of people who don't really even care about me. So yeah, that's kind of, it's been a lot more helpful. I think that's why the skits are good now too, is because I'm like actually trying to do what I think is funny and not just like pander to people. So,
Joaquin Buckley is fired up. It's not just about the fights. After Israel Adesanya casually dropped a bomb in a reaction video, I hate that. Referring to Buckley's performance at UFC Atlanta, things escalated fast. Buckley didn't just clap back. He unloaded. He called Izzy out for being bitter, fake, and two-faced. You hate me? For what? Buckley shouted in a video that instantly went viral. You mad I didn't achieve my dreams? That's wild to me, bro. But it didn't stop there. Buckley went personal, bringing up Izzy's knockout loss, questioning his toughness, and accusing him of hiding behind a camera instead of saying things face-to-face. And then came the real hit. Buckley claimed he approached Adesanya at the UFC PI before, face-to-face, offering a respectful fight, and Adesanya said nothing. Quiet, Buckley said. But now you're using your platform to talk SHD? That tells me everything. Insults flew. Even national identity got dragged in, with Buckley throwing heat at Izzy's real African status, saying he doesn't represent where he's from anymore. Unlike Dricus du Plessis, who Buckley says still gets it in South Africa. It's personal, it's emotional, and it's far from over. But before we wrap this up, there's one last moment that stood out because it flipped expectations and paychecks upside down.
You on my anyway. You ain't no real fighter. Little, you know, you want to be a little pretty boy. You know what I'm saying? I will give you a sample, but I don't like boy. And that's 100. You can get this work any given time, bro. I can give it to you. Oh, but I forgot, you Chinese. You ain't another brother. The real African that runs that spot is DDP. You gonna try to make him like, oh, no, you a real African brother. No, DDP is. Cause he's still getting it in where he from in South Africa. But where you at? New Zealand? Australia? America? You don't know who you riding with.